Before we go on with the normal stuff we talk about here in the beginning, I want to let you know that the membership site, which I've created for people who would like to contribute or donate or just kind of help me help you, that is now completed. So there are 3 membership levels. Level 1 is just the transcripts of every channel, past and future. Level 2 is the transcript plus the audio of every channel, past and future. And Level 3 is the transcript, the audio and the video of every channel, past and future. And it's really cheap. The most expensive level is less than 2 quarters per day. So the link for that is below. So go below, have a click, have a look around, and there's a video where you can watch and I explain what it's all about, and hopefully that's something which appeals to you and you can become a contributor. Let us preface the answers that we have for you in this way. We get a very strong sense that you are a good person, that you have a very soft and loving and understanding energy. And this is going to make your life malleable. So even though you feel that you are a little stuck at the moment, you're not quite sure which way to go, because of this very lightness of vibration that you have, there is a quality of energetic signature which emanates from you that is very conducive to malleability. There is less rigidity in your auric field than we would typically encounter in the auric field of somebody who is a similar age to you. So, the changes that you have ahead, we feel are something which will be relatively easy to accomplish. While the actual mechanics may entail some significant undertakings, we feel that you will encounter very little in the way of resistance from life because of this lightness of vibration that you have. It is something which negates rigidity. It doesn't invite obstruction, doesn't invite resistance. If you can make the decision to move in a certain direction, then we feel that you should find it relatively easy to continue the flow in that direction. Beginning with question 1 regarding your children and this estranged relationship between the eldest and the 2 younger. Unfortunately, the damage has been done. Now, this is not to say that it cannot be undone or it cannot be healed, but rather to say that yes, there is a wound. And this wound needs to be tended to. It needs to be nurtured in a way that it heals the wound. So, this is really going to be more of a dynamic that plays out between your oldest child and your 2 youngest children. And your role will be more so as a facilitator rather than a healer. But you can still contribute some healing energy and guidance such that it is much more likely that they reach a resolution. We feel that the resolution between these 3 is very likely. It is something which is going to come to be. And it is going to be a process. So, it is unlikely from our perspective that this is going to be achieved in the next 5 years. This is something which is more likely going to come about where they have fully healed their relationship and they are now in a new chapter or at a new level which has left the past behind. This is something which is more likely to occur in the 5 to 10 years from now. And this will be much more likely to occur when your oldest child has sort of settled into more of a rhythm as a mature man with his children, with his wife, with his career and so on, and is less of a living less as a young person and living more as the sort of the next chapter of a man as he starts taking on sort of greater responsibilities in his life. And this is going to give him a perspective of his two younger siblings, which will be revolutionary in a way and change the way he thinks of them entirely. And this will be reflected back to him in the way that his younger siblings respond, because they will be able to detect this change in him. So, your role in this process, as we see it, is to speak to your younger siblings and infer to them, let them know that your oldest, he has regret about the way that he behaved when he was younger, when all of them were still children living together. And he sees that he did damage to the relationship, and it's something which he now feels regret and remorse about, because he wishes to have a much stronger relationship with his younger siblings than he does. And he is therefore very invested in coming to a place of healing, and yet he's patient. So this is not a rush. It is not something he's trying to force on you, but it's something that he just wants you to be aware of, that he's hoping that in the future, when the time is right, that the three of you can come together and have a sibling-to-sibling relationship which will be close and supportive and reliable for the rest of your lives. And regarding your oldest, we feel your most pertinent message to him is that he forgives himself and understands that he was just a young person. And it is not necessarily because he is inherently bad, but rather it was just he was confused. He did not really understand the value of having two younger siblings. And also, he had his own challenges with his own childhood, the relationships he had in his regular day-to-day existence as a school child, and so on, which placed a strain on him. Also, there was the dynamic of his mother, the relationship you had with his mother, and so on. And the purpose of this dialogue with him is for him to come to a place of self-forgiveness, where he understands that he created this rift between him and his younger siblings because he was immature. He did not really understand what the consequences were going to be in regard to their future relationships. And so it is just the fault, or rather, it is just the consequence of being a young person. So, and then over time, your contribution will continue to be the changing the definition or the belief systems that are within your two youngest. So they perceive of your eldest in a very specific way on the basis of what has happened in the past. And so that is the lens through which they view him. And your role over the coming years will be to continuously provide input which changes this perspective they hold of him, which clarifies the lens. So this is something which can only be done ethically and with integrity if your eldest has indeed changed. If your eldest has indeed come to a place of maturity where he realizes the value of having a good relationship with his youngest and is now willing and will do so with integrity, treat the two youngest with the respect and the admiration and the kindness that they deserve. If he is willing to genuinely do that, then you can, with integrity also, redefine this within your two youngest. Help them to see the eldest through a different lens. And this can be as formal as sitting them down and explaining to them this new way of being that the eldest has achieved. And we would recommend in the beginning, in the initial stages, that this is probably something which is worthwhile doing. To sit them down in a formal way and have a discussion with them about the oldest, explaining to them that he has reached a new place. He is a new person. He has seen the world through a new perspective. He has had the revelation of how important they are and how he mistreated them during childhood, and how he wishes to make amends. Using the dialogue and the examples and so on which you feel is appropriate, being an insider to the dynamics of these relationships they share. And then, as time passes, when you see that the time is appropriate, the moment is primed, just say little bits here and there about what the oldest is doing and how he has changed, and the kind of person that he is now. And slowly, bit by bit, sew a different fabric, a different reality within your two youngest in regard to who they perceive their eldest as. And this is going to open a window within them. And it is going to be an opportunity for something new to form. And with your continuous addition of information and perspective and understanding and realization, it will build momentum. And we expect that you will find that you will notice that your children begin to draw together very naturally. So it may not be until 10 years from now that they have fully reconciled. But we see it could happen as soon as 5 years from now, that they are fully reconciled. But this takes some time. And your two youngest are still not mature adults. And it is not until they are mature adults and they can begin to perceive the world through the adult lens that they will have a full appreciation of the things that you have said. But they will be seeds within them. All of the information, all of the new perspective, all of the new realizations that you have given to them, although not maybe fully appreciated at the age they are now, they will remain inside your children as seeds. And when the time is right, when they reach a level of maturity within themselves, these seeds will give root and start to germinate, and will provide them all that they need to start to see and perceive their elders in a different light. And so by the time that your eldest is in his mid-30s, we would expect the relationship to be fully healed. And this is why it's important that you make it very clear to your oldest that he must be patient, and he must be willing to continue to invest the time and energy it requires to bring them all together, to undo all that has occurred in the past. So, if he is willing to be patient and to make that investment, then we absolutely believe that this will be a reconciliation and a shared love and a shared future that they will have beyond the end of your life. Question 2, regarding the tingling sensation that you experience when you are meditating. What is it? What does it mean? How can it be utilized? For us, this is very clearly energy related. When you meditate, you are able to open a flow of energy within self. And as you are a being which is very soft, very loving, vibrating at a high frequency, which is something that you can be very grateful to your parents for. The way that they parented you was laying a very, very awakened foundation, you could say. Although it was not necessarily adept in spiritual matters, the way that your parents raised you gave you a quality of energy which has allowed you to be the soft, open, loving being that you are. And therefore, it is very easy for you to get a flow of high vibrating energy through yourself when you are meditating. Therefore, you have been able to achieve a level of energy flow of chi, flow of prana, whatever it is that you wish to call it, which others would require much more practice to achieve. So, this energy flow, which you experience as tingling, it is a flow of high vibratory energy which is very infused with a quality of love and forgiveness and kindness and empathy and so on. During your meditative state, this energy can be directed into any part of your life that you choose to direct it into. So it can be used to focus on your children. For example, this question you asked in number 1. So when you are meditating and you feel this energy start coursing through and you get the tingling, we would say, visualize that it is literally a flow of magnificent, bright, white energy flowing through you. It is the flow of love of the One. It is the purest chi and prana flowing through you. And it is something which can be utilized and directed. This is the visualization process that we suggest for you. And so when you consider your children, then envelop them in this energy which you have flowing through you. So this tingling sensation, give it a visual quality. And that visual quality is a flow of very pure and beautiful energy through you. And this energy flowing through you is flowing up through your chakra chain, and then it is exiting through the top of your head. And also it can be directed specifically from chakras that you choose to direct it from. So we would suggest that you direct from the heart a font of this energy which envelops your children, and it heals them. It brings them closer together. And all that is between them, all of the energetic obstruction, the darkness, the misunderstanding, the mistrust, and so on, allow this energy coming from you to dissolve what it is that obstructs them, what keeps them apart, so that you can see that it begins to draw them together, because now they are becoming infused with this beautiful quality of energy which you are able to propagate through your meditation process. This is the way that it can be used. It also can be used in regard to your own health. It can be used in regard to your employment. It can be used in regard to also your love life. So, start thinking of yourself as a practitioner of energetics. Somebody that is becoming conversant in understanding the flow of chi, the flow of prana. And therefore, you are becoming masterful in using this energy, this 0 point energy, the energy which courses through all things. You are now tapping into it in a very conscious and deliberate way, and then wielding it within your own life to bring about healing, to bring about change which is conducive to your desires. And of course, this is on the proviso that what you are wishing to bring about, the desires that you have, is for the best benefit for you and all those involved. We are seeing imagery now. This is the visions that we are perceiving. This is what is possible within your infinite permutations moving forward in your life. This is something which is entirely achievable. During your meditation process, start thinking of yourself as the energy master in training, as we said, and start using this energy to really shape your reality. And it can be used here are some examples of the way that you could use it. When you are about to eat, or when you are preparing food, when you're about to have a drink, make this energy flow through you, and then direct this energy at the items that you are about to consume. Irradiate your food with this energy. Irradiate what you are about to drink with this energy. Also, when there is any conflict in your life, irradiate the other participants in this conflict with this energy. It does not mean you need to be in their presence when you put your hand on their forehead, but rather it can be done conceptually. So when you are alone, direct energy at them and immerse them in this quality of energy. And this energy will contain the love and light of the one, but also imbued into it will be your specific energetic signature. And all those that you envelop in this energy will then perceive of you in a more favorable way. They will sense a quality of energy coming from you which feels not only familiar but also soothing, loving, and so they will be more likely to perceive you in a favorable light with an open heart. This phenomenon segues into several other aspects of the questions that you have brought to us today. And so let's start joining the dots. Regarding your relationship, this love interest you have, which is still, from what we can perceive, is a friendship, a close friendship, it is something that you would like to be more than it is. It is our perception that this is something that you should get clarification on soon. Now that you are 4 years out of your relationship and you are a man of 63 years old, then it is now in the final decades of your life that you find yourself. So, it is a time to be more definite, more definitive about what it is that you are going to do, the direction you are taking. So, if you were to maintain this status quo that you're in now, in terms of the dynamic you share with this love interest, then you are in a holding pattern. You are treading water. You are kind of in a limbo where you are limited in your progress forward because you are not able to move forward either with or without this person unless you come to some resolution, some understanding, some clarification about what is really occurring between you and her, what the potential is. So, this is not the time of life to be stuck in this way. It would serve you better to be moving forward, and therefore it is now an onus on you to find a way to get clarification from this love interest in regard to what is possible, in regard to what she considers is a likely or a desirable future for the both of you. Does she wish to just continue as a close friendship? Or is she willing and even expecting and hoping that you advance it in some way? This energy that you have, that courses through you, which you can now start dedicating yourself to becoming more masterful of. So rather than just being a tingling, it is now your understanding and your internal visualization that it is literally the stuff of God coursing through you in a profound way because of the dilation of your chakral points. And so you can direct this energy at her. The intent of directing this energy at her would be to give her the beginnings of understanding about the way that you think of her, that you have something for her which is more than just friendship. And this will begin to infuse her with this understanding. But it is not intended to manipulate her, to shape her in a way such that she is unwittingly willing to enter into something meaningful with you because you have used your energy to shape her in that way without her conscious understanding. This is not something we are saying we suggest you do, and we also understand this is something that you would not do because you are not that type of person. But we just feel it necessary to put that clarification in here at this point. So, imbue her with this energy. So try to convey to her during your meditation sessions and your visualizations that you have this feeling for her, this sense of desire and a hope and willingness that there could be a more meaningful future for the both of you in terms of a relationship with each other. And also that you wish for her to be happy. You wish for her to be fulfilled. You wish for her to live a life which brings her joy and happiness. And that is the caveat, which excludes the possibility that you are using your energy to manipulate her. But instead, you are just presenting her with a possibility. And if there is coincidence, if there is resonance, that the possibility you propose could be a match with her living a life which is full of joy and love and fulfillment of her wishes and desires with you, then this is a very beautiful mechanism for using your energy to elevate both of you to a new paradigm of joy and happiness. So, this energetic process, we would suggest that you do this for some time. If, for example, you think that you have 6 months of time, then we would suggest that you do this for the next several months. Really, this is something for you to decide. How patient are you? How willing are you to put more time into this so you are investing energetically before you move to the next phase of advancement of this relationship? And of course, a consideration is also, what is she doing in her own life? Does she have other suitors? Are there others who are courting her to take on the place in her life that you are hoping could be you? So you will have to determine what is the appropriate timing for you. But we feel the outcome will be better if you invest some of your energetic work into creating this energetic paradigm where you are imbuing her with a quality of light which comes from you and also carries with it a hope and a desire that she achieves joy and happiness. And then this is going to increase the resonance that you share with her. And then eventually, you will have to come to a decision that you are going to ask her. You are going to have a conversation with her that is in some form an advancement of this relationship. So it could be as simple as asking her out on a type of outing that you have not done with her before. That could be perceived as something which is not just a friendship move from the past, but it's now something different. It's something which is a little more significant, which implies that you feel for her something which is beyond just the friendship. And then, step by step, continue to advance in this way until you have reached sort of the midpoint between the level you're at now and the level that you would like to be. And at this midpoint, where if she's an intelligent and aware, conscious woman, she is already at a point where she has an understanding that you are wishing it could be something more than it is. And it is at this junction point that you can ask her, can we be more than what we have been in the past? Are you willing to pursue a relationship with me, or to investigate the possibility that we could have a relationship together? We feel this is something which is important to you. We feel that this is something that you have a strong desire for because you do not have a partner, and also you understand that your children are reaching the age where eventually they are going to become less active in your life. They're going to be living their own adult version of life, which will involve you less than it does now. And the likelihood of a positive outcome is also increased if you invest your time and energy into manifesting the outcome that you want. So this is through visualizations, this is through affirmations, this is through vision boards, and so on. You can literally shape your reality to bring about the desire that you want. But always within the context that it is in the best interest of all those involved. Meaning that it is a scenario, a circumstance, an outcome, which also results in her experiencing a life of greater happiness and joy and love and so on. Another way that this energy segues is to this question you have about ETs. As you are now becoming more proficient in your meditation, and also this tingly feeling, which it seems to us at the point of you coming to us, you hadn't yet realized was a flow of energy, or you had not verbalized it in that way. But this tingling is literally, it is the coursing of a very pure and beautiful white light through you, this energy of the One. And this increase in your vibration, particularly in the meditative state, but also when you're outside of the meditative state, when you are walking about your regular life, you now vibrate at a higher frequency than you did in the past. And this is why occurrences which have happened in your past, such as what occurred between you and your ex-business partner, it incites less hostility than it did earlier. And you are able to speak of it in a softer tone with less animosity than you have previously, because you have been softened by this process of the regular meditation, because the regular meditation has opened up a greater flow of this energetic quality that you have by default. So, as an aside, the reason that your ex-business partner used to berate you about the quality of your work, despite you delivering a quality of work which was absolutely of sufficient standard, is because your ex-business partner feels some degree of guilt about what occurred between the two of you. There was some plotting on the behalf of your business partner to achieve the outcome which did eventually unfold. And so they carry with them a sense of guilt about what occurred to you, regardless, despite the amount of work that you put into that endeavor, and also where you are positioned in life now compared to where they are positioned as a direct result of what occurred between the two of you. And they have been unable to reconcile this energy, this guilt they're feeling within them. And so, one of the strategies they have employed which is subconscious, is to berate you, is to perceive you as being substandard, perceive you as somebody that was never a worthy business partner, because the quality of your work is substandard. And therefore, they feel vindicated because there is a justification for the way that they plotted and strategized to bring about the outcome which befell you. So, this is how we perceive it. This is why it seems unexplainably that they treat you in this way. It is an appeasement of their guilt to cast you as sub-sufficient, which therefore justifies the actions they took and vindicates them of the guilt which they feel burdened with. But returning to this question about the ETs. Now that you are flowing regularly with this energy and you are feeling that tingling sensation, which is literally the coursing of this higher vibratory energy through you, you are taking on an energetic quality which is increasing your capacity as a human being. And you are now unlocking latent capacities within the human biotech, within the device, the apparatus that you have been gifted with in this particular incarnation. And part of, or one of the latent capacities which is being unlocked through higher vibration, because this is how it works. You have many latent capacities within your human biotech, as do all humans. And eventually more and more and more of these will be unlocked. And so things such as manifesting instantly, teleportation, telekinesis, telecommunication, and so on. These will be commonplace for human beings eventually, but they are dependent upon the vibration that one is able to attain. And as the vibration increases, the capacity to utilize these latent abilities increases. And as you are now increasing your vibration through this regular practice, then you are unlocking these abilities. And you are now able to perceive things that you could not perceive in the past. But it is still blurry, and your rational mind is giving definitions to that which you are perceiving, which makes sense within your 3D paradigm as an Earth human. So, this is how we see your dream, where you saw the mountains behind your house, and they were beautiful and magnificent, but they were kind of shrouded. You kind of could not quite make them out. They were there, but you could not exactly see them clearly, but they were majestic. There was something very striking about them. One, how is it I've never seen them before? Why have I never perceived these mountains? And two, they are breathtaking in their magnificence. There is something very beautiful and magnificent about them. What we perceive is that you were perceiving ET craft, the proximity of ET vehicles that were close enough that you had an energetic perception of them, and your mind rationalized them as gigantic mountains in the background that you had never noticed before. But this is just your mind laying over a definition which made sense in the way that you rationalize your existence, your experience. But it was the presence of large extraterrestrial craft. And these extraterrestrial craft are indiscernible to the human eye and indiscernible to most of the technology of humankind, except for there is some technology which has been reverse engineered. which can detect these craft, but they are not interfered with because they cannot be interfered with, as they are able to phase in and out. So they are present, but they are phased out. So they are there but not there at the same time. Yet, as you increase in your vibratory quality, you are now being able to be aware or have a perception of a broader bandwidth. So, the bandwidth of the five senses could be said to be this wide. And when these extraterrestrial craft phase, they just phase into a bandwidth of electromagnetic presence, which is outside of the five senses and outside of the senses also of most human technology. As you increase in your vibration and you unlock these latent abilities, you're also broadening this field of perception. And now you are able to perceive what you could not perceive before. And this is also why you had this dream where you were looking at the Pleiades and you were feeling a sense of something being there, a sense of wanting to go there, a sense that there was some familiarity, there was some reason, there was some connection with that part of the cosmos. This is because these craft, which you rationalize as mountains, are Palladian in origin. And your vibration, as it becomes elevated, becomes more resonant with their vibration because they are an evolved ascended species and they have an energetic quality which is very high. And as your own energy increases, then the degree of resonance with their energy also increases. And this manifests as a growing perception. So, when you saw them and you had the thought that you want to go there, but then you immediately had the idea to go within, this was literally guidance from them. Part of the reason that they are in the vicinity is because they are providing an energetic balm, an energetic salve to the planet and to humanity. They are not permitted, or they have made the decision not to intervene in a more significant way other than energetic. But if you have watched our channels and you understand that the energetics are the most important, it is the most lasting change that occur is when the energetics change. And so they are providing a very valuable service to humanity. They are not interfering directly, but they are providing an energetic stability, an energetic quality, which countersets the energetic quality which is provided by the opportunists, those that are using the Earth-human field as their own resource. You and many others now are beginning to have a growing perception that these craft, these beings are in the vicinity. And always, when they detect that another is becoming aware of them, they turn your gaze inwards, because it is by going inwards that you can literally make the connection with them in a more full way. Because when you look out, you are trying to shift this inner knowing that you have, this inner sensation that you have, into the outer sense world. You are wanting to see them, you're wanting to touch them, you're wanting to hear them. But the connection that they are willing to provide to you is a connection of energy. And that is why they turn your gaze back in, because that is the most palpable way that you can connect with them. With this in mind, you can use this energy flow that you have to connect with the Palladians, to have an energetic bond with them, which will provide you with a greater sense of stability, of assuredness, of balance. And this is a service they are literally here to provide. Understand, it is not coincidence that you have no ET historical moments in your past, and you have no historical ET moments in that of your family, and yet you chose to designate one of the valuable questions in this session about ETs. Why would that be so? Because it is unrelated to a large degree to everything else that you've brought to us. This is why. Because intuitively you understand that there is some connection, that there is some feeling of energetic commonness between you and these experiences that you've had, although you haven't yet rationalized it in that way. But you have been intuitively guided to ask those questions such that this information would come to you in the form it just has. And this is your higher self opening new windows into your reality so you can broaden your perception of what is occurring in your world. So, as an exercise going forward, if this is something that you would like to pursue, we suggest that using this very similar modality that you did in the past, where you ask a question before you go to bed in the hope that you're going to receive some kind of guidance in your dreams, that you ask that you can be connected with the Pleiadians, that you can become aware of them in some way, whether it's energetic, whether you have a sighting, and so on. And then, when you are drifting to sleep, allow this energy to flow, this tingling sensation where you have the flow of chi through you, this high vibratory quality. And so you're using that to make a connection with them. Invite them to connect with you. Ask them, if you may, form a connection with them. And allow that to be the final thoughts you have as you drift off to sleep. And then, upon waking the next day, write down whatever you can remember about your dream. So begin a dream journal. And then over time, if you continue this process, you may begin to recognize that there is communication coming to you through your dreams. And quite likely, this communication will indicate that you are making connection with your Pleiadian brothers and sisters. And we say your Pleiadian brothers and sisters because they have a genetic connection with all humans, including you, Daryl. Regarding this question that you have about the paranormal activity within your house, it is our feeling that this energy, this beingness which occupies your house is very linked to the house itself, or is very linked to the location that the house is built on. And so it has almost no awareness of you and your family being there at all. So they are playing out a scenario which is very related to experiences they had in their life which they were never able to resolve. And so this has kept them in a state of limbo where they continue to dwell in this particular region and have not made the transition to the light because they have not been able to accept their own death, and they continue to live what they believe is their life, and they are unaware that they have passed over. They are trapped in a not a purgatory, but in a middle state where they have to first become aware that they have passed over before they can make the transition to the light. So they are stuck, you could say. But they are mostly unaware of you and your family. So it is not an interaction with your family members. It is something they are doing entirely of themselves. So we see very little connection between them and you and your family. Instead, the connection is very strongly between them and the house, or them and that particular location. If you wish to do a service for them, then you could perform a ceremony where you help them to have the realization that they have passed over and that they are no longer alive, and that what they have been living for the last 100 years has not been actual life, but has been a proxy of life or an assembly of life, which they are constructing moment to moment because they have not been able to reconcile the experiences they had, and therefore cannot accept their own passing. But they will be stuck there until they are able to go to the light. Now be aware, if you were to perform this ceremony for them, then it is possible that they will then become aware of you and aware of your family in a way that they have not been before. And so they may perceive you as an intruder into their space, or they may perceive you as the savior that helps them make the transition the rest of the way. So this is something to consider if you do decide to perform this function. An alternative would be to find a professional who specializes in helping lost souls cross over and make the final part of their transition to the light, so they can be reabsorbed back into the afterlife and process the happenings of the previous life incarnation they just had until they are ready to incarnate again and continue the incarnation cycle. No souls are lost forever. Although some will trap themselves in a purgatory for some period of time, there is a time dilation, so it is not perceived the same to them as it is to you. So for them it is just day to day, whereas for you it has been many years that this occurrence has been going on inside your home. So they suffer not as much as it may sound like they do. So if you did not want to actively address this, where you try to help them yourself or invite someone else who's a professional to come in and help them, they will find their way nonetheless. So it is something that you can continue to just carry on in your life as it has been. Regarding what it is that you can now start doing with your life, what is it that can be your new objectives? From what we have discussed so far, we are hoping and we anticipate that you are becoming interested in this concept of becoming masterful in your energy, and to start using your energy in very deliberate ways to bring about healing in your own life, to mend the relationships of those that you love, to create a new type of relationship with those that are important to you, and so on. And so we suggest that perhaps one of the ways forward for you is to start developing this capacity as an energetic master, so that you can help others who would come to you, requesting that you use your energy to bring about change or healing within their lives. So you could get formally trained in Reiki, for example. There are many different ways that energy can be used, and there are many different modalities and forms and names that it is given. So you can choose those which feel appropriate to you, become trained in them, and then start developing a little side practice where you are still full-time employed, for example, but you are beginning to see maybe one client a week, maybe one client a month, and then allow it to grow organically. You develop your skills during this time. You continue to be devoted to the practice of mastering your energetics. So it is not just during the healing session, but it is also as a regular daily practice that you begin living your life in a way which is very specific and disciplined, with the intention that you become the best energetic healer that you can be, where you start utilizing these gifts you have been given by the way that your parents raised you, and given also by all of your past incarnations, all of the experiences they've had, all of the suffering they have done. All of it has culminated as the being you are now, has culminated as the energy which you have access to. Because the energy you have access to is rarefied. You are a being which is capable of vibrating at a higher frequency than is typical for the average human. So that means that you can bring to a dynamic, a quality of energy which is not attainable by the typical human being at this time. So This essentially is the same as describing you as a healer, because you can go above the limitation in energy of those that would come to you for help. And so you can bring healing into their lives by directing your flow that they are not able to do themselves. This is what designates you as a healer, and this is why they seek you out. So, we feel this is something which could and would bring you a great deal of satisfaction. It would be a journey, of course. So this is not something which is going to occur overnight, but if you are willing to commit and dedicate yourself to becoming masterful in this new discipline, then we can see that this could become something which is a growing part of your life, which increases your life satisfaction, your sense of purpose, your sense of contribution, that you are doing meaningful work. And over time, you could phase out this other part of your life, which is the regular 9 to 5, until eventually you are sustained entirely by this new paradigm of who you are. And then this opens up a whole new array of possibilities, where you could then teach others to do what you do. You could write courses, you could hold seminars, you could author books, and so on. So, this is something which is very much possible for you. It is a part of your life which is willing and waiting to bloom if you choose to head in that direction. So that is entirely up to you. But we feel that you would derive a great deal of satisfaction and sense of purpose and service if you were to go beyond just investigation and also attain dedication, discipline, and regular practice. Now is the time to join the dots in your life, Daryl. So you have many separate pieces in your life which appear to be mutually exclusive. You have your work, you have your children, you have your meditation, you have your dreams, you have your love interest, all of these different facets of your life. But all these facets can be drawn together through the utilization of your own energetic flow, which you are now becoming aware of, which you are now becoming masterful in. And you can weave your life together so it becomes one cogent, coherent fabric. And it flows and ripples in unison, as it should when life is lived masterfully. This is the next evolution that we see for you, Daryl. Let us share this final vision we see. Some years have passed, and you have continued to develop this skill and to come into a place of greater understanding of who you are. And this has all been in contribution to your spiritual journey, to your spiritual path. Because heading in this direction, coming into this conversation with us, such that you can be enlightened in this way, has been a compounding, an acceleration, a honing of your journey along the spiritual path. And so, in the years in the future where we perceive you, you have gone through quite a transformation. So you are no longer the coder businessman / has a small interest in spirituality, but you now are the spiritual master, the energetic flow facilitator, the healer that is living a life which is very satisfying and is in great service to all those that know you and all those that come to you seeking your help. We see you are deeply in joy and satisfaction in this life that you live as this future vision that we hold of you. So, it is your choice in which direction that you head from this moment forward. There is no right and there is no wrong. There is only the gathering of experience. So you can understand yourself to a deeper depth. However, you have come to this conversation through your own intuitive guidance, such that you will be given insight which is relevant to you, which is messaging from your higher self. And so we have laid out that which we have perceived in the most honest and clarified way which is possible for us. And now it is up to you to decide how you shall integrate this new information into your beingness and how that shall reflect in the life that you live, in the decisions that you make. Thank you, and we love you.